Hi everyone, good evening. For those who are new here, welcome to Cosentino City and Tab Series, where monthly we gather great minds of architecture each session to share their insights with us. Do keep a lookout for future sessions on our Cosentino City Singapore Instagram as well as Y2's Instagram. And for this evening, welcome to this captivating journey into the realms of architecture and design. Today, we embark on a conversation that transcends the boundaries of mere structures, delving into the very essence of space that breathe with natural light and evoke a sense of simplicity, repose, and delight. Our moderator, Yann, from Y2 Architects, will guide us through this exploration of meaningful architecture. This evening, we have the privilege of being joined by an architect whose work embodies the fundamental elements with creativity and innovation. Architect Huei Siang from Wasaa Architects will graciously share his journey with us and as witness the art of designing in between architecture, where experimentation takes flight, pushing the boundaries of conventional design norms. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Yann for the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Salim, for the introduction. So it's a pleasure to be here on this particular month of ArchiFest. So 1 month long of event dedicated to architecture in Singapore. And so today, Tab Series is once again celebrating the world of architecture with Huei Siang. So for the ones who don't know about the Tab Series, just to remind what is the theme of this year, where we invite architects to share their life journey, their commitment towards the future, towards the people, and towards the planet. This year is pretty particular because all of the different architects that we receive every month share a lot of emotion. Last month, I was totally overwhelmed with the emotion from L Architect, and I'm pretty sure that with Huei Siang today is going to bring us through another life journey. So I will just do a brief introduction of Huei Siang that I've been knowing for many years, where we were both in the committee of the small and medium architecture practices, and I've been following what Huei Siang has been doing in Singapore and overseas, and it is always very impressive to see the refinement and the attention to detail that Huei Siang crafts in his architecture. So Huei Siang, trained in Singapore and the Netherlands, grew up in a family of woodworkers, and that says a lot about your craft. A recipient of the Distinguished Design Singapore Council Scholarship and also the Building Construction Authority Scholarship. Huei Siang has worked with DP Architect and SCDF, for the ones who know who they are in Singapore. And in his pursuit of architecture, Huei Siang seeks to design and craft architectural spaces and meaningful buildings. In his quiet time, he likes to immerse himself in natural landscape while contemplating his next piece of work. So he's a registered architect in Singapore at the BOA, and he's been achieving many elements in his life, including teaching, where I'm quite curious on how he can balance a life as a practitioner and also as a teacher. So let's welcome once again Siang for his talk.
Thank you, Yann. Thanks for the introduction, and thank you to Cosentino City as well for the venue, and also thanks to everyone for taking up your time and attending the sharing session today. I will run through and share selected projects from the start of my journey, and then we can have a discussion later. Yeah. So I started my firm, Wasaa Architects, in 2016, and this is the motto for the firm. We are kind of like a boutique firm. There's only like 5 of us, including the admin, so yeah, somewhere there. So just now Yann was saying like, how do I do everything and balance off? I do have a great team supporting behind. So the title of the talk today is In Between Architecture. And I'm going to share some of the projects that are not really like fully architecture that I've undertaken since the start of the journey. Maybe just to share. So I remember that this is one of my earlier projects that I won through GPs as I started in 2016, because most of the time, when you first start out as an architect in Singapore, it's either you have a lot of projects or you have like you need to search for projects. So I was somewhere in between that stage, and I needed more design opportunities. So almost every week I would have to log onto GPs and then search for design opportunities with the word design proposal and then all that. And then we found this invitation to code for a primary school. This is at Westwood Primary School. There were a few plots of garden throughout the entire school that needed some rework. So I think we went in and then we proposed, how to improve the spaces. So I remember that I have, it's over here. There is actually that is one of the discipline masters standing there when I visited the site. So they told us that the problem was that students had to go to the canteen, which is just right beside here, and they have to always walk past this courtyard, and then you've got naughty kids running through, spoiling the garden and all that. So it became an issue over time. So we kind of proposed to come in and do some simple solutions, and we proposed something like paving the entire courtyard, and then allowing the students to run through without destroying the grass, consolidate the plantings into something that's more educational. So we spoke to the science teacher as well as to what kind of plants and the biophilia could come together with landscape architecture and all that, landscape design. Then we put together this proposal, and I remember that the principal called me down to the school. So before he awarded the project, he put me aside into his room. I was called to the principal's room, and he told me that the school had no money, and he doesn't want any variations. Yeah, so that was the starting of the project, and then that gave us some kind of constraints. So we proposed certain materials like the readily available concrete slabs that we could just buy it off the nursery for say about $30 a piece back then. Very cheap materials, and then putting things together. So the thing that you see here is some sketches. So we did simple benches for the kids to gather as well. Around the plants that attracted, we chose plants that was had attracted butterflies.
and attracted certain like dragonflies and all that in particular to create that little ecosystem for them. And also, I think we chose the kind of trees that could, provide a shelter at the different layers for the kids, so that they feel like they are like under some kind of like tree house over there. So I think this photo shows what we tried to do simply over here. We put in the economical solution for the school without spending too much money, without spoiling the lawn. And we put together this communal bench for the kids to play around. And the discipline master was so happy. He told us that it's really a successful place, a change or transformation, that the kids are not going back to their classes on time. They are just playing and running around the trees every day and looking and playing with whatever little butterflies or insects that they had over there. Right, so that was one of my early projects. And then we talk about architecture. This was one of my early projects as well. This is like a pair of semi-detached houses along Franco Avenue. This was the style back then, the challenge was to create curved concrete, right, for the construction workers in the 80s, in the 90s, right? So the client had a request to do A&A to the house. And of course, as a budding architect, you can't choose, right? First of all, you have to go and find GB's projects and find a contractor to pair up with, go in and at a low price, get caught into the principal room, say that he had no money, right? And then this client found us also, and then same thing, he put me aside before the start of the project as well. He told me that he also had no money for the project. Yeah, so we of course I really took it really seriously, and then we thought of like how to reuse some of the building materials, especially the structure of the building first at a bigger scale, and then the elements that we could reuse, for example, the roof tiles, and basically we salvage as much as we could from the house itself. So this is the result of this A&A. We spend like so much time on it and all, and things like different, not only like roof tiles, we salvage like the wood, timber that was as part of the curved staircase. We put it into the new staircase use, cut it to shape and all. So this is how the house looks like. So we have like the stair core that's going up the house here. And then these beams that are running across some of them are actually old beams. So we just kept it, as part of the structure and incorporated into the entire stair core. That actually allowed for like cross ventilation into the house as well through the stair core. So that was just a simple stroke. This is how it looks like when it was completed. So on the note of like reusing materials, I have the privilege to really work closely with a carpenter. It's actually my dad. And then there's a lot of like waste wood in the workshop and all. So I thought like I could do something to it and do something about it. So you see this pile of wood over here. This is in relation to an apartment project, a HDB. So in 2016, 2017, I also designed HDBs for my friends and all that. Very lovely couple. So at the start of the project, I told them, okay, I'll design your HDB for you, right? But can you spare me $500 to design a lamp or design something unique for you? Right. And they are so happy, they agreed to it. And then, I was also very happy. But later did I know that the cost of this thing was like much more than $500 to fabricate. So in the end, I ended up paying for the lamp and gifting it to the client. Yeah, so this is this is a combination of the discarded solid timber, and I paired it with I think this was an aluminium, like a molded profile, and copper plated it to achieve the effect. Initially, I wanted like a copper lamp, but when I looked at the bill and the price, I switched it to aluminium instead. And this is how it looked like. So we had a plan to really mass produce, like take all the scraps, attach it in a certain way to join with the light, and produce this lamp for our clients. So this is something else that I had to team up with this company called In the Wild. Very creative directors over there, Clara and Jia. So we worked together on this exhibition in Tokyo for a fee as well. It's called Singapore Inside Out 2017. This is in Shibuya, Japan, Tokyo. So it showcases like all the different creative works of Singaporean designers and talents. So it's like a showcase of Japanese talents and also Singapore talents in an exchange. So just doing a quick show of what I've been working on in the early years of my practice. And then at the same time, around 2017, I was quite lucky to get in contact with a client who just bought a good class bungalow along Swettenham Road there. Classical building, so same thing, the client put me aside as well. He told me that he had no money for this project. Yeah. So, so I had to work within the limited budget. So you see that you have this like classical columns here. How do you transform into something modern? They wanted something modern, yeah. And adding on that gazebo kind of thing. So we did the job. I needed to survive also. Yeah, I needed to pay my colleagues who were working together with me as well. We finished it, but I forgot to take better photos. So this was the photos from the defects from the contractor. Yeah. In 2019, we came together, 20 of us, through this very good friend of mine. He's called Yann from IX Architects. Some of you might know him. And we thought that we wanted to do something a little bit different from our daily lives. So this is a project called 2020. There were 20 architects in Singapore that grouped together to do 20 toilets for 20 different villages in need of it in Cambodia, Phnom Penh. So this time round, I knew that they really had no money for this project. So in the end, we donated some money for the building of it. So this is the village. They are all like speckled across the different landscape over there, and it's a beautiful place. In the morning, we took about 3 days on the average to work with the locals as well to build 20 toilets. So you have like all the different designs. You got like curving walls. You got like bricks that was like looked like arrow sirens, disciples, and all that. And of course, I love those designs. But I always try to keep things a little bit more simple. So the brief was to have ventilation and also have privacy, because some of the villagers, when they do everything there, they bathe there, they do their business there every day. So and this is out in the sun for some of the locations. So they needed to have good ventilation, but yet privacy for the ladies at the same time. So there's a water tank. If you see the sketch around here, and we propose to really just have perforated bricks just right behind the water tank and offset it a little bit to allow for natural ventilation to take place, to draw the air in from bottom. And then for the roof, we had a single metal sheet that was raised above. So just something simple to make it work. And along the way, I'm also quite lucky to get to know some of my friends who had clients who own shop houses. So this is one of the oldest building in Hong Kong Street. The building is in quite a bad condition when we went there. It was already like leaning forward. And the building was like tilting already. So when we walked inside with the client, after maybe 1 or 2 minutes, we'll feel like a bit dizzy and all. Yeah. But it's a beautiful shop house. And then we found out that, of course, this is home to Kwang Tak Chong. I think some of you might know they are famous for this Ajinomoto MSG, the thing that we eat every day. So they used to trade like all these sundries back then and store all the MSG up there in the shop house and all. So they had this like basket that like in a police system from Germany that transported all these sundries across the 4 different levels of the shop house. And then we started works. It was during COVID. It was a tough time. Businesses were hit. Clients were a little bit emotional. And then on our end, we still had to get the projects going. Yeah. So what you see here is the truss that was meant to prop up and hold up the building. Because it's already tilting and then it was considered a bit dangerous. And we also found out something interesting in the last photo, if you'll notice, that steel columns were actually added some years ago to strengthen the building. But when we took away the floor, we found that they were floating. So it's supposed to strengthen the building, but it's floating. So we were really worried, and then I was like, hey, I'm just like a QP on my own for maybe about 4 years, right? And then, this is like a technical challenge, right? So I was a little bit worried as well, and then we sat down with the civil and structural engineer and discussed about this. But eventually, we managed to persevere on, and then a lot of problems if you are a listener, and a lot of problems with LTA as well. I think my team will know. It's really painful. This live stream, is it? Sorry. Yeah, but I'm happy that the project is completed this year. So what I told myself was that we should keep the atmosphere of the building, the spirits of the building. So the choice of the materials and the details that we did were a little bit rougher. We didn't go for like a full plaster over everything. We kept the walls. Specifically, we instructed the contractor to retain all of it protected, because those are the best stories that you could show and tell everyone what the building has gone through over the years. That staircase that led up to a small illegal storage here and there is all revealed on the walls of the shop house and all. And of course, I took the chance to have some fun with the detailing of the elements itself, and of course we preserved that basket, and then it's on display as well currently. So I'm thankful that the client saw our vision for the project, didn't really build an enormous kind of extension at the back. So I think the entire scale of the building contributes to the character of the shop house as well. But yeah, just a side note. We intend to go for a URA conservation award after this for the project. This is another project that I took on because I think in 2020, or rather after COVID, 2021 or 2020, COVID changed the way things work and people's mind as well. So a number of craftsmen that I knew, including my father, decided to take a break and close their shops for good. So I decided to design a table and make a chair for an apartment project. So that is beautifully captured by one of the photographers, a good friend of ours as well. And then, yeah, I'll just show the video. I think it speaks more than anything. Yep. So this is a small little passion project as well that I embarked on to capture all the skills and all that that has gone in over the years in the workshop. And I commissioned my dad also to design one of the armchairs as well, because throughout the years I hear him say that designers always go there with some branded, like a furniture designer copy from the website, and like ask him to replicate this and that So sorry. So this is how it looked like. That's the table that I designed. I kept it simple as well. Just 2 columns and a slab going across. And that's the armchair that he designed. The one here, and that's the armchair that I designed. So this is how it looks like, and I thought that I always share in my office that as architects we should design everything. They might not necessarily agree with me because of but Alvar Aalto did his own chair. Frank Lloyd Wright produced his own chair as well. All the architects that we knew last time designed everything else. Like we don't call this specialist in for to design this, to design that. So yeah, this is how the apartment looks like. And of course, we work with other things like stainless steel and all. So this, apart from all these things that I do between architecture, we do design interiors as well for our clients. We design houses. So this was in 2022. So over the years, at the start, we cannot choose, right? A, small parts, everything take, right? After that, slowly as you progress on, as you persevere on, you get better, you get more opportunities. This is also for another house that we designed for a client who works out here. And that's Dacton, from Cosentino, both of it. We designed a table as well for our client. Photographer is over there. And also in between our work, we do competitions as well. This is a site in Canada, Brampton Park. So it's for a last genocide memorial. We all want to do a memorial in our lives, right, as an architect. So I thought that in between the projects that we do, we want to do something a bit more interesting. So this last genocide memorial competition is run in partnership with City of Brampton, Canada. We took part in the competition. Basically, is to it calls for legislation to recognize the atrocities that took place in the Sri Lankan Civil War. And they use this park in Canada as the site for the project. So we thought of maybe a more poetic way of addressing this genocide thing. because most of it is created by adults. And then we decided, since it's a park setting, we want to create like a playscape for children instead, to counter that part of the genocide atrocities and all that. So we created like a playscape within the park that children could run together and bond together in the future. So this was we didn't win a competition, but we did get a mention for this competition as well. So in between our work, we also spent some time doing up competitions. This is another competition in Portugal. It's for an olive guest house. Basically, they have olive plantations there. Beautiful landscape, beautiful scenery. And the site sits on like a slope. So we thought like, what could be a better way than to let the landscape into the building, let it run through the building. So that was the proposal, to let the entire landscape just run through it, and then have a cellar that's embedded in the landscape that runs through it, that stores all the extra virgin olive oil and all that. Mentioned as well for this project. So these are some of the other projects that we are taking on currently. That's the one in Faber Terrace currently, a semi-detached house. Frames are up, coming up, and then conservation shop house as well. So one project led to another, and I think the owner is somewhere here also. Yeah. And it's a beautiful shop house along Kun Sing Road, all the conserved Peranakan shop houses. So we are quite lucky to work on the project as well. And we are doing something to all the salvaged or the conserved and preserved materials as well, or the railing posts that you see over here. Along the way, we do other projects as well. We have completed a private clubhouse and a mini museum kind of thing in Indonesia. And also, this is a project that we are working on currently that's coming up next year. So I think with this, I'll end my sharing here today. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Siang. So we can start the Q&A. So I will just take my notes.
I told Yann before this session not to ask me too many emotional questions. So,
all right.
Yeah.
It's thanks again, Siang, for sharing all of your various projects. Just to give you a bit of a context, when we prepared for the talk, Siang said I want to talk about in between, what we do in between. I was a bit curious, like in between buildings or in between neighborhood, in between architecture. So I was quite curious about it, and then I started to receive his slides, and I was a bit confused. I was like, but each slide shows something different, and now I understand. Now I understand what you are trying to convey. That is indeed in between architecture. That when we think of architecture and architect, we always think of buildings. But as you mentioned, even in the definition itself of the architect as a master builder, then you have this whole set of expertise that are beyond architecture, that are whatever contributes to architecture and contributes to like the spatial experience. And I was very much intrigued with all of your skills in the making of furniture. And then as you were showing again from one project to another, we start to see the connection that, again, architecture is beyond the building, and that it is how the furniture and all of whatever surrounds the space can make a true memorable experience. So I do have various questions.
There's a lot of questions.
No, those are just my notes. So the first question that I have in mind is, so we understand that your dad is a carpenter. What triggered your desire of becoming an architect, Is it with your admiration of furniture making, carpentry making, and that starts to really formalize these ideas towards space and architecture? What was the triggering moment?
I think that's a good question. So basically, I'm brought up in the typical Singapore education system. Primary school, secondary school, must go to a good JC, go to university, and all that. So by the time I reached, end of A levels, many years back, I was quite jaded, and I wanted to try something different. So back then, the concept of or the image of architecture course is quite interesting. I don't have to do math formula anymore. I don't have to calculate F equals to MA or something, things like that anymore. I don't have to worry about my grades anymore. But I still have to worry about that. And then I decided to take on architecture. So where does that influence from my dad's being a carpenter comes in? From young, I always thought that carpenters are not like a very well respected profession. I'm guilty of it myself because we don't come from a very well-to-do family. We are always very thrifty around things and all that. Even repairs in the house was all done by wood. That kettle broke, the handle broke, then my dad replaced it with a wood handle. He just made it out and all that. And then when I went to Archi school, I realized that he's a craftsman. He's a master craftsman. Yeah. And then I went to his workshop to spend a little bit more time. And then I uncovered that bag of tools that my grandfather had, like some ancient tools that belong to some museum in China. I had even more respect for him. And then I designed a chair. And then I saw how he made it, all the different procedures and the different steps of planing the wood, ordering it, preparing the grains of it, where to insert in that tongue and groove. I have my full respect for my father as a carpenter.
Thanks for sharing, and that explains something, because I was taking some notes. You say that in the one of the house that you did in 2016, you reused as much as possible all of the different materials, and at that time, 2016, talking about circularity in a Singapore context was not so common. So if we just replace this back into the context of Singapore, 2016 circularity, recycle, reuse was not so much like the big topic. And so I was quite curious on what motivated you to really embark on that journey of circularity and reusing the materials that are beyond maybe some financial decisions for the client that are, well, okay, let's save some cost. But was it something that was important for you to embark in this, in circularity and recycling of materials?
Thanks for putting that in perspective, Yann. Back in 2016, really, sustainability was just starting to become more popular, and recycling materials and all that. I think it's maybe because of the scale of projects that I started out with. I worked more with the materials, so I also maybe my vision is also focused on the materials itself, and I saw the kind of waste that was going out there, and of course I was also very naive. I believed the client, and he told me that he had no money, so I really spent all my mind trying to save the materials and all that to reuse them back in the house, and always to treat the concrete columns, to sculpt it, to bend the bars inside, talk to that structural engineer, arm twist him a little bit, bring it out for dinner a little bit, and then change that curved concrete into this a bit more modern, all within 49.5% or something A&A rule under URA. Yeah.
Okay. I'm smiling because I totally understand all of the requirement and what it takes to to make buildings in Singapore because we have strong authority requirement as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, especially with the shop house? I don't know if you can say more about it, but the wonderful work that you did for
The cameras are there.
Okay, so maybe I will just rephrase my question in beside the columns that you found there that were like basically unearthed, did you find also some stories?
Yes, of course. We were hoping to find something more than stories. Me and the owner as well. We were hoping to find some hidden stash of chests underneath the earth, because when we first started out, we did some trial holes and we realized that there were double slabs. There was like a double slab system underneath the foundation. So we got one of the guys, a very small guy from the contractor, to climb inside and to see whether there's any like treasures down there. Yeah, but I think less than like 1 or 2 minutes, he hurried out. There's a scorpion nest inside and nothing else. Yeah. So but yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Understand.
The rest of the stories, I think we can. Yeah.
Sure. And in your career, because we can really see again how you jump from one project to another, how you jump from one scale to another, and how things connect. Did you have a turning point in your career as an entrepreneur where things changed, where the way that you look at architecture or the way that you look at spaces and project changed? Did you have any moment like that in one of your projects?
I think every time I meet a new client, my perspective change. And I wouldn't say that there are like there's like one turning point, but I think like I'm still quite early in my journey as an architect. I think there are a lot of like seasoned architects here. And I think there are just going to be more turning points ahead. Yeah, I'm still learning. Yeah.
And so like, and again, I put that into another perspective, is that I like to hear that, yes, you are still learning, because we are all still learning, especially in the design field, but you are also teaching. So how do you balance your practice with also the teaching? And how much time does it take for you? Is it something meaningful, important in your own practice to be exposed to younger designers that are challenging what you say?
Okay, that's a tough one. So I did ask myself this question, like why do I teach in NUS? I do feel that maybe after practicing for a while, I feel that I want to impart certain values or like conceptions about architecture that I feel that the students should know, and not like spend or waste their time in architecture school, like searching or going after the wrong things. Yeah, so I find that space is important, understanding space and proportion. And that's something that's really sometimes a bit hard to quantify and teach. And yeah, I just want to share my experience with them. Yeah.
And so if you look at where you were when you were a student and where you are today, were you thinking that you would be where you are today when you were a student?
Of course not. Yeah, I mean, some of my classmates are here. Thanks for coming by. I didn't think that I would be doing all this at this age and on my own. I mean, like in a way, yeah. But of course, I must say that I do have a very good team, and they are really supportive, and I can't do much without them.
And when you embarked after being graduated, so as I was mentioning before, like working at DP, working at SCDA and so on, what was your decision? Or how did you make your decision in going on your own, start your own firm, go on your journey, explore new things?
Okay, that's another tough question. So when I was studying, I actually set up a small little like partnership. I think one of the partners is here. We take on design competitions, and we were very happy when we won like certain prize money. When we won like first place or second place, we kept the money and we set up a small company. And then we took on design projects along the way. I think that contributed to our experience. We got some exposure on how to run your own business, how to get projects, how to control the design. So I think that started when we were in school. When I was working for DP, I moonlighted. And so during lunchtime, sometimes we'll just run out during lunchtime, 1 hour, run down to site, and then, meet the contractor, tell him what to do quickly, then run back to office, then, tapao food back, and so that the director won't sense there's something wrong. So I think all these experiences contributed to how I perceive things and how I would be interested to run certain things. And that's where I came from. Yeah.
That's great to hear, because it reminds me also how I started my practice in France. No, the topic is yours. But it was something very similar when you run to a site for you and then you go back to the office that you work for someone else. So, okay, I feel less alone. That's great. I have more questions, but do you have any questions to Huei Siang? Any question? Okay.
We can ask Yann also. Yeah.
So now I have a question, because the even in the choice of the competitions that you embark on, those are not the typical kind of competitions that people are looking after. To do a memorial in Canada that is so far from Singapore, to do another project in Italy, for example, that is on another culture that is different than what we have in Southeast Asia. What is your desire in exploring different contexts?
That's a good question. So how we filtered down the choice of competitions is that we'll go for those that has the likelihood of getting built the project. And why do we do that? Because simply because Singapore is a bit small, land is limited, and I always share with my team that we should be looking beyond our shores as well. And that's why we started to invest and to do projects in different parts of the world. So now we are currently also in talks with my other friends in, say, India, in Sweden. So I think we can cross that border and practice and collaborate together.
Which is great. It's not everyone who has this desire in basically venturing overseas to look for new context, collaborating as well with other experts overseas, and this collaboration, it is something that I was taking note as well during your presentation. Most of the project that you do, you constantly remind that you are not alone in doing the project, that you are collaborating with others, whether they are carpenters or even heritage experts as well. When you face heritage building, what is for you the sense of collaboration? And if you have one of your most memorable, beautiful collaboration with, could be a carpenter or heritage specialist or landscape architect, what is it?
I would say the furniture design was maybe most memorable because the scale was very intimate, and my father introduced me to the rest of his khakis. The uncles were doing the upholsteries, the uncles were doing like certain welding works or things like that. So I really went down, we went down to all the shops, their workshops, spoke to them, sat down with them, and really learn about their grievances. They do talk a lot. They share a lot, like freely at their age, and yeah, and eventually I think I learned a lot as well. And I think the outcome, the product is something that is special because there's a story behind it. Yeah.
Yes, that's what we feel in your project. Again, looking at them, hearing you explaining all of the different projects, we can really feel this almost art of making. And like, although we are in a fast-moving city, fast-moving nation where we're always looking at futuristic kind of outcome, it's always a pleasure to be reminded with your kind of practice that the making of architecture through hands and not necessarily robot or AI are essential in the crafting of beautiful and meaningful spaces. So I think we'll end on that. I just would like to again give a round of applause to Siang and feel free to talk to him
Thank
a
you,
bit
Yann.
more.
Yeah. Thank you, Yann, and thank you all for coming as well for this session. Yeah.
And so just before we conclude, I invite you to come back again at the end of the month. This month is a bit special because we are running 2 talks within 1 month because of Archifest, because we are collaborating with Archifest. Your theme that you mentioned today is totally in line with the theme of interim. That is the theme of Archifest this year. So please join us again. I think it's the 25th of October, where the next talk will also be with CPD point if you are architect, so you can have your CPD point from the BOA. So thanks again, everyone, and feel free to talk to Siang with nice wine and food that is there. Thanks again.